songwriting ability was second to none. The songs that everybody can sing and remember and have a special point in their lives. They remember one Beatles song or it touched their lives.
I associate all the Beatles songs with boys and parties, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Hey Jude, don't make it.
My claim to fame is I did an audition, my audition, first audition with the Beatles, and I was actually turned down.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? See ya. Yeah, see you, mate.
Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock as the day begins.
Help. I need somebody.
Quietly closing her bathroom door.
Help. Not just anybody.
I can't remember what it's like.
I think the first one that really made any impression of me of the Beatles songs was I Want to Hold Your Hand.
I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand.
And my mother assures me, I tend to find this hard to believe, that she used to catch me stood in front of the mirror singing it.
Come buy me love. Come buy me love. Come buy me love. Everybody tells me so.
My earliest recollection of the Beatles really was when I went to Hollywood back in the 60s and changed my whole life. I've been working in this country for years, and then all of a sudden I was doing The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and I was in Hollywood and I was working with all these Hollywood stars. And the background to that was the music of the Beatles.
Back in the USSR. You know how lucky you are, boy. Back in the US, back in the US, back in the USSR.
I waited with great anticipation to receive this first Beatles single, as far as I knew. And I put it on the turntable at home, and off they went, very ordinary guitar chords. Love, love me do.
You know I love you.
I thought, oh yes, that's cute, but what's this in relation to what I've been hearing about this brand new group called the Beatles?
Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Right now, John Lennon sing, "Get me out of this coffin, I've got to kill her."
It's impossible to think of the music scene without the Beatles having happened. Do you know what I mean? Modern music would not exist in the form it does now without the Beatles having occurred.
I heard the news today, oh boy. 4,000 holes in Blackburn, Lancashire. He blew his mind out in a car. I am a walrus. No.
My dad took me to watch Liverpool FC, and when we went there, he took me to the pub. Took me to 3 pubs before we went to the match. And every pub I went into, they were all singing, yeah, yeah, yeah.
She loves you, yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, for God's sake, how banal can you get? But you joined in.
She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah.
She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. But they revolutionised the world by saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, everybody's tried with guns and bullets and H-bombs, and we've had wars, yet the Beatles revolutionised everything by going, yeah, yeah, yeah.
She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah.
For the whole of their spot, the scream was unbelievable. You couldn't hear a sound. The Beatles might just as well have been miming out there. They're out there going, all you could hear was, ah! Ah! From the whole audience. It was unbelievable.
And we wondered, how can we possibly have the Beatles on the Palladium show with all this screaming going on? Because we knew that the fans would get lots of tickets, maybe 500,000 tickets would be there on the night, Sunday night. So I came up with the idea of using boards. So after their second number, Paul ran off and he came back with a big board with a little bit of conversation. Oh, it's nice to be at the Palladium and so and so and so and so. Then John would run on the other side with another big board. Yes, isn't it lovely, Paul? Here, what a lovely audience we've always dreamed of it. Then Ringo would come on with another board, and then George would come on with another board. So they had a little joke, and they loved the idea.
I feel I represent a group which all the histories I've read of the Beatles and the documentaries have neglected, and that is the parents
after the initial disgust of parents, even parents liked them, which was really weird.
Our music was wonderful, and we would change the world, and our parents should shuffle away.
My daughter Maggie was between 13 and 14 when it was at its height. She and her friend used to go to the concerts. I would go down there with these two excited, chattering, intelligent young schoolgirls, and then come back and meet these two sodden, tear-stained, whimpering lumps.
My sister took me to see them in 1964. I remember being just overwhelmed by females and feeling very small because I was, but also not part of this madness at all. Then this noise around me and girls.
I think when I was 13, it was Paul was the cute one in all the posters.
Girls everywhere.
Because you all started off fancying Paul McCartney.
Girls, hair just going crazy.
And I was with a friend of mine, male, rather handsome chap, and Paul McCartney was in the lift, and he kissed this friend of mine on the cheek, because I think he was in a very happy mood. And my friend didn't wash his face for a month.
The feel of girls.
You kind of fancied George, and then you kind of fancied John.
Eyes.
Of course, the Beatle I always fancied was John. And at one time, one of the gossip columns got hold of a great story that I was having an affair with John. And I was terribly put out. I mean, the trouble was that I wasn't. I only wished I was.
Just the smell of girls in excelsis.
I always got to look like John Lennon, and my mate had a round face. He looked vaguely familiar to Paul McCartney. So, you know, we were able to fit in for the first time. We never looked like Elvis Presley. We never looked like Gene Vincent. But the Beatles, we actually looked like. You know, you wore the clothes, you bought a pair of boots, you put a shirt on with a tie, and you actually looked vaguely similar, enough similar to pull a girl on a Friday night or a Saturday night.
Well, I may have wanted to look like the Beatles, but I had two big problems. First of all, my hair was a mass of curls, and no way could be converted. And secondly, on £9 a week, I had to wear my railway uniform as often as wearing a suit. So, but I loved them and enjoyed them nevertheless, even though I was unable to look like them.
The Beatles were always dressed in a very, very, interesting way. And oddly enough, I mean, if you look at sort of styles now, I mean, these high-button jackets now with a slim shape and trousers with no pleats and a slim shape were very reminiscent of that time, you know.
Like me and our Liam, for instance, if we look at our haircuts and the clothes that we wear, and even the guitars that I play and the amplifiers that I use, I mean, everybody always says to me, you want to be Paul McCartney, don't you? I'm like, well, no, not really. I mean, but he said, that night we went round to his house, I had a brown suede jacket on, I looked like one of the ones off the cover of Rubber Soul. And he said, oh, you even look like a Beatle. I said, I spent enough money trying, and I should do, you know.
I was in Los Angeles with Roman Polanski and Mia Farrow, and I danced with Mia Farrow to Hey Jude, and it seemed to go on for hours, and it was a long number, and it was just one of those nights that Hey Jude meant something very special to me because the people that I was with and the mood and the whole deal.
Hey Jude. I had bought the Sgt. Pepper as soon as it came out, and I spent like 2 months trying to understand what they were saying, it was strange lyrics, as you may remind. And I know that I almost learned how to speak English, and you see the result today by listening to Sgt. Pepper.
I love you, Superman.
I did meet them, of course, at a scoring session in London when I was there. And very nice guys. They all came in and were talking in the background while we were trying to score a music session. I'm going, shut up, who's that back there? And it was like the Beatles, you know. So I went over and talked to them, and And they were, of course, smaller than I thought they would be.
And my parents had one of those old Bush gramophone records with all the ventilation holes along the back. And because we were always playing the Beatles on it, I was convinced the Beatles lived in it, and I was always looking through the little hole at the back because I thought I'd see the Beatles there, and they were never there, never did see them.
I was running for governor of California against Reagan, and John said, what could he do? And I said, write a campaign song. So he said, what's the motto, your platform, your campaign? And I said, it's come together, join the party. That was invented by my wife, Rosemary. It has a double, triple meaning of all that, and which was her genius. And John immediately picked up on it right away and said, oh, come together. And he'd been strumming on tape, come together, not tomorrow, not yesterday, come together right now over me. All I can say is you got to be free. And that was supposed to be my campaign song, but I never got to run for governor because Reagan put me in prison.
He's one holy roller. He's got hair down to his knees.
We were all in Rory Storm's house, and they just recorded Love Me Do. And of all things, we were playing the Ouija board. And it was all pointing out. Paul was there, and George was there, and Rory, and I think Ringo was there. We were all there having a bit of a laugh, playing the Ouija board. And it was like a message from, and it spelled out M-A-R-Y, Mary, which was, of course, Paul's mother. And he thought, my God. But he asked a mundane question, like, will our next record be #1 in the hit parade? And our fingers went mental. Yes, it's going to be #1 in the NME, the New Musical Express. And he was wonderful, Paul, because he said, hang on a minute. Now, when my mum died, there was no, how does she know about the New Musical Express? There was no Musical Express then. And it was that bloody George Harrison.
Corporation t-shirt, stupid bloody Tuesday, man. You've been a naughty boy, you let your face grow long. I am the Eggman. They are the Eggmen. I am the walrus.
They were smartasses, and they were talented, and they were funny. So you got all those so it was a subversiveness. It was a very gentle kind of subversiveness. It wasn't like, you know, they thought the Stones were subversive because the Stones were rude and you know, and wild, but the Stones probably in many ways were less subversive than the Beatles, because I've always been I've always had a soft spot for the kind of gentle subversiveness, the one that slides in there with a wry smile and actually does change things.
We were in Salzburg when we were filming Help. We were there, and John said, "Hey Vic, come and see this." And I went out on the balcony, and there were tens of thousands of young Austrians as far as you could see. I mean, right as far as you could. And the Beatles all took. I think I got one. Beatles all took combs from their pockets, did that, and went, and did Hitler's speech as well. Tens of thousands of Austrians screamed with laughter back. And nobody else could have got away with that, but nobody. And it was the young talking to the young about these stupid bastards that, you know, caused such havoc.
Oh, I tell you what I thought was really great was when I would be with my lovers, my group called the Lovers, Lulu and the Lovers, in our little van, driving up to do the gigs. And every time a new Beatles single came out, the nation would be kind of tuned into the radio. And I remember when they told us, I don't know how the announcer and the DJ said it was coming on, but there was like a second of silence, and you know, you sort of, you're waiting, and there was no music. All you heard was, help, I need somebody, help. It was like, what was that?
Everybody in the country used to wait to see what the Beatles would do next, what would be new and different about them. And they never let people down. They always came up with something new, and each record was like a gigantic step forward from the last one. And you thought, how on earth can they ever do something new and different to top that. And then they did, you know. All you need is love, but getting all the guys in and having the big symphony orchestra there and getting all their mates into the studio to actually record it live and actually transmit it live as a television show to the world. You know, you think, oh boy, isn't it good? Why didn't I think of that?